Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth in terms of the narcissistic traits, and really especially the malignant narcissistic traits, and that is that of entitlement. How does this play out, or how does this get translated in terms of manipulation in typical ordinary relationships? When we talk about entitlement, we're really describing somebody who has a pathological sense of self-importance and they feel that somebody owes them something, or entitled means that they should just be delivered this without having to earn it. So entitlement means something is owed to you. And success is earned. Respect is earned. When we talk about entitlement, it's someone is expecting something of you without really earning it. Or after creating an environment of distrust, they're asking you to forgive and trust them, really where trust is not due. Entitlement is a huge issue, especially when it comes to how people experience the relationship with those who are entitled. So it's kind of a very demanding sense that someone will project onto the relationship. And the problem is that a lot of people who are codependent, they fall prey to this type of manipulation or this type of attitude that the world owes me something, because even though they haven't earned it, even though they have betrayed it, even though they have acted contradictory to so, they're acting as if they should have it anyway. So have your affection anyway. Have your obedience anyway. Have your trust anyway. Despite the fact that they have behaved to the contrary, decided to the contrary, and treated you oppositionally as such, they're expecting you to treat them as if such and such doesn't happen, such and such didn't matter, and so it becomes very sort of uncomfortable in the dynamic, in the phase of the relationship. Entitlement essentially is a very huge issue, because this will cause a narcissist to act very disrespectful, even in terms of their humor, even in terms of their intimate relationships. They will really, so through this entitlement, they will shriek out of responsibility. Here we see irresponsibility raising its head again. They can do whatever to their health, and other people will have to pick up the pieces. They will do whatever to the finances, and someone else will have to be responsible and accountable for their finances. They will do things that are contradictory, and then basically create situations and environments where they will have to have others be supportive to them. So the narcissist, once again, constantly needing support, constantly needing supply, constantly needing attention. Even if it's negative attention, it is entitled attention to the narcissist. Negative attention and sort of rebellion, where someone is self-sabotaging themselves, becoming self-injurious, or doing things that are, negatively manipulative, or using reverse psychology, is really very, very painful for other people to deal with. Because if you're in the face of someone who is hurting themselves, starving themselves, being unemployed, being uneducated, not picking up after themselves, being late and unaccountable, these are all acts of rebellion that get other people to be reactive. And this reactiveness creates and sets up and imprints more that fight or flight in the people who they are targeting. And this thing is bothering me here. Sorry about that. So let me just pull this back. There we go. Much better. So it's to understand that, it's this tough love that is required in order to adapt up to these people. So, the tough love is very difficult especially for someone who has empathy, especially a lot of empathy. Remember how we're talking in the dynamic of the relationship with these people who have a pathological sense of self-importance. They tend to attract other people who have the deficit thereof. They have a deficit of self-importance. In fact, oftentimes people who are codependent they're so devoid of self-importance that they really feel that their life oftentimes has no meaning. And this is a very profound statement when we talk about this fact. What does your life mean? People who get really stuck and in codependent relationships are those people who have a void of meaning, a void of self-importance, a void of self-love, a void of unconditional self-love. So this creates a perfect pathological match, a dysfunctional and very painful energetic match to those people who are narcissistic and psychopathic. So those people who are narcissistic and then sort of jump on this entitlement, they expect others to do whatever. They have this high expectation of others and do not want to be questioned. So it's this air, how dare you question me? How dare you even discuss something with me? How dare you don't follow along blindly in suit? This is this psychopathic, malignant narcissist and narcissistic entitlement expressed. This is what it is manifest. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. And the issue is that those people who are codependent become, like Dr. Craig Malkin states, as echoists. So in other words, your life is then just echoing their needs. You're always reacting to whatever it is that their need. In fact, your heart might break if you're not satisfying their needs, especially if they've got this entitlement issue where that you essentially have this deep empathy that you feel like they're hurting themselves, they're not getting the love, that they're going through these covert ways, and you don't want them to be covert. You want them to be expressive. You want them to be communicative. And so their covert ways of withdrawing, of being distant, of sort of apathetic, non-communicative, this stonewalling, this ignoring, this creates a sort of a hurt or a feeling of deep empathetic wounding. So in other words, those people who are empathetic subconsciously, they feel so deeply and so badly and love so deeply and so greatly the covert narcissist and their insecurity. They're picking up on their lack of emotional intelligence or their projection of, insecurity, so they're withdrawing, that they actually feel their wounds, they actually feel their insecurity, they feel their void, which is underneath the mask and the facade, to the point that they overcommit. They overindulge themselves in the entitlement of the covert narcissist. So they tend to then over-obligate. Say yes when they should say no. Say yes when they mean no, but they can't say no because of a boundary violation and this enmeshment. So your needs are my needs, but even if it means to be contradictory to what is in your best interest. So we see this self-sacrificing to the entitlement trait in the narcissist, this feeling of void or lack of meaning in your life. What does my life mean? Oftentimes people have such a difficulty separating themselves from a narcissistic relationship or a psychopathic relationship because this person has created and carved such a valley, such a rift, such a deep cut into the core of this person by virtue of taking over sort of your operating system, what you call as a priority, what you call as important. So if you're already entering into the relationship with a weak sense of self, a weak identity, a weak self-esteem, a weak self-love, a weak unconditional self-love, you tend then to say, whoa, here it just comes like a deluge. Their emotional needs become like a tsunami into the void. Just the gravity pull of their needs just fills up this huge void in space. So those people who are vulnerable, who have a weak spot, who have this little chink in the armor, these are the people who then really get hit hardest and the most significantly for the sort of falling prey and prey to these predatory types, especially those people who are psychopathic. So it is that void which then all of a sudden feels this energetic deluge of need, where they, people then enjoy being needed in this dysfunctional way. So they then become addicted to I am needed rather than I am strong, I am lovable, I am meaningful, I am important, my life has meaning and I'm following my purpose. Instead of that being your core belief, instead of that being your core operating principle, instead of that being your core value, placing the value in yourself where it belongs, it ends up getting thrown out the window, literally, to the external needs of the entitled covert narcissist or the psychopath. So I hope you can see how these two, fit together like a puzzle. The one complements the other in this sort of way, but it becomes unbalanced. It becomes like a teeter-totter, where eventually then if this person leaves, then you're just hitting the ground splat, and then you've got no buoyancy, you've got no life, you've got no spring to your step. It's just, you feel this heaviness and this pain. It's literally like being on a seesaw. And then when they get back on, you're trying to engage with them once again. It's this entitlement issue that they feel like they can get on and off the seesaw whenever they want. They can check out of the relationship. They can, cheat on others. They can lie to others. They can be two-faced, that they can sabotage others and then expect them to come back. This is, how that whole this intermittent reinforcement gets set up so strongly. It's like the gambling, it's like the lottery effect or the slot machine effect of addiction to these types of people. If you've ever seen people who are gambling addicts and the way that they will play a slot machine, it's like they'll win and then they'll go for the win and then they'll lose a lot and then they'll play even more and then they're going and taking out more credit. It's that intermittent reinforcement that you see in relationships. That's the instability, that is the dysfunction in the relationship and that's fueled by that entitlement issue that, I should just, because of this, you should just obey me because of this, because of that. Even though their behavior, their attitude doesn't warrant it, they're expecting you just to oblige yourself and just follow blindly, even though they've hurt you, even though they've betrayed you, even though they've lied to you, even though they've sabotaged you. It's just, the scapegoated, gaslighted, all the different treacherous emotional manipulation techniques, even the physical abuse. After this happens, they're just entitled, their machismo or their seduction powers or their desire to control. They expect you to just follow along despite what your schedule is, despite what your health is, despite what they've, how imbalanced it is. They just want you to be there. And then people end up feeling so much the lack of meaning or lack of respect and lack of what they're receiving that they end up just basically, by default, by the hurt, by the lack of then, self-love energy, they're not able to stay in the relationship, but they can't articulate it. They can't say, they can't get that cooperation. They cannot communicate how they've been violated. They can't communicate in a positive, effective way. So when you're dealing with this, you have to then address the needs directly. And, really ask them, what does it mean when you're ignoring me? When you just, how do you expect that to play out? What does it mean when you don't email me back? And then get an answer for them. To start to deserve an answer. What does it mean to me when, I host you for all these gatherings and, you don't answer my invites? Or, what does it mean when you just don't call me back and I'm wondering why you're late? What does this mean? And then ask them to answer. Ask for a response. You need to be in the driver's seat. You need to be asking these open-ended questions because there's a hurt, and that there's a sense of wounded meaning and wounded ego to you, and you need to get out of this victim wounded ego mode, this perspective, this energetic vibration, because if you don't, you're always going to fuel that trigger, that lack of meaning, that lack of self-love, that lack of value that you're putting in yourself as a priority is always being secondary to them. So you need to shift and alchemize the priority, so the priority is back on you. And if they can't oblige, if they can't reciprocate, then you have no business being with them. You have no business re-injuring yourself. Why would you be so cruel to yourself as to perpetuate this pattern? If it's not getting better, why would you be so cruel to yourself? Why would you continue to inflict the damage onto yourself that this individual has damaged, has projected onto you? Why would you not make your needs known? Why would you, stop? Why would you not stop the bleeding, stop the cruelty? Why would you not address it and have support like scaffolding on your side? Why would you not, bussy up the ensure your own self-respect? Why would you not enforce this? So if fear is the issue, then you need to come to terms with that and understand that the fear is because it's gone on for so long. So to eradicate the fear is saying it's stopping now. It is stopping now, and I need to call a timeout. And literally, timeout. What does this mean when you're ignoring me? And calling them out, and just, what does it mean when you're constantly insulting me? If you're going toe to toe with them, it shows you how energetic violation is. And, and then you need to, draw the boundary and say, I'm not tolerating this scapegoating anymore. I'm taking a time out. This is not acceptable. And then exit. You need to exit the negative energy. You need to make this clear, crystal clear, and, basically put them over there in, compartmentalized, abusers, manipulators. They need to be over here. And if they can't change once I communicate this, oftentimes they will if they do value you, and you express your concern, and address it. Hey, what's up with you guys all, sitting in the corner? Is this not an open circle? Making light of it. Hey, what's up with you guys never responding to me? Did you forget my email? Making a joke out of it. If you want to confront them on sort of a light level, you can do that as well. This has to fit your personality, but either way, you can't be fearful. You can't be fearful of loving yourself. You can't be fearful of having yourself as a priority. You can't be fearful of protecting yourself. You can't be fearful of being safe. You can't be fearful of having a meaningful life. You can't be afraid of having your life purpose. You can't be afraid of having your passion. Oftentimes, restoring this is exactly what you do when you confront this. You need to call it out. If you call it out in a soft, gentle manner, then so be it. Enter some humor into it. What does it mean when you're lying about my contacts? What does it mean when you're lying about stealing my emails? What does it mean? What you're doing with this and this with my clients? What's up with that? Don't be afraid to speak your concern. What's up with this? Why didn't you follow through with this? Why couldn't you hold up your end? Not accusatory, but, just sort of gathering the information that you need. Why haven't you taken care of this? Why haven't you moved forward on this yet? Why haven't, and then ask, and then show your expectation is that you believe, why haven't you asked for the commitment in our relationship yet? Why have you, violated our trust? Looking for answers. And so addressing this gently and adding a little bit of humor can help to break the tension, but break that barrier that you have perhaps been fearful and dancing around. Do not engage in learned helplessness. That's exactly what that is. So begin to address and see how entitlement has affected you and your relationship, especially how it's affected you in causing negative self-esteem and lack of self-confidence, and then take these steps to address it and really free up your passion. You deserve it. You can do this. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out. Love you.